6 minutes to 6, said a great round clock over the information booth in the Grand Central Station. The tall young army lieutenant, who had just come from the direction of the tracks, lifted his sunburned face. His eyes narrowed to note the exact time. His heart was pounding with a beat that shocked him because he could not control it. In 6 minutes, he would see the woman who had filled such a special place in his life for the past 13 months. He would meet the woman he had never seen, yet whose letters had been with him and had sustained him unfailingly. He placed himself as close as he could to the information booth. He waited there, just beyond the crowd of people besieging the clerks. Lieutenant Blandford remembered one night in particular, the worst of the fighting, when his plane had been caught in the midst of a pack of enemy fighter planes. He had seen the grinning face of one of the enemy pilots. In one of his letters, he had confessed to her that he often felt fear. Just a few days before his battle, he had received her answer. "Of course you feel fear," she wrote. "All brave men do. Didn't King David know fear? That's why he wrote the 23rd Psalm. Next time you doubt yourself, I want you to hear my voice reciting to you. Yeah, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me." And he had remembered. He had heard her voice as he imagined it to be, and it had renewed his strength and skill. Now he was going to hear her real voice. 4 minutes to 6. He grew tense. Under the immense roof, people were walking fast, like threads of color being woven into a gray web. A young woman passed close to him, and Lieutenant Blandford jumped. She was wearing a red flower in her lapel of her suit, but it was a crimson carnation, not the little red rose they had agreed she would wear to identify her. Besides, this woman was too young, about 18 years of age, whereas Hollis Maynell had told him that she was 30. "Well, what of it?" he had answered. "I am 32." He was 29. His mind went back to that book, the book that had brought them together. It was one of the hundreds of army books that had been contributed to the Florida training camp. It was called Of Human Bandage, and throughout the book were notes in what seemed to be a woman's handwriting. He had always hated that habit, if writing things in. But these comments were different. He had never believed that a woman could see into a man's heart so tenderly, so understandingly. Her name was Hollis Maynell. He had got hold of a New York City telephone book and found her address. He had written. She answered. Next day he had been shipped out, but they had gone on writing. For 13 months she had faithfully replied, and more than replied. When his letters did not arrive, she wrote anyway, and now he believed he loved her, and she loved him. But she had refused all his pleas to send him her photograph. That seemed rather bad, of course, but she had explained. If your feeling for me is real, she wrote, what I look like won't matter. Suppose I am beautiful. I'd always be haunted by the feeling that you and been taking a chance on just that. And that kind of love would be disappointing. Suppose I am plain, and you must admit that this is more likely. Then I'd always feel that you kept on writing to me only because you were lonely and had no one else. No, don't ask for my picture. When you come to New York, you shall see me. Then you shall make your decision. Remember, each of us is free to stop or to go on after that, whichever we choose. 1 minute to 6. Then Lieutenant Blandford's heart leapt higher than his plane had ever done. A young woman was coming toward him. Her eyes were blue as flowers. Her lips and chin had a gentle firmness. In her pale green suit, she was like springtime come alive. He started toward her, entirely forgetting to notice that she was wearing no rose. Uncontrollably, he took one step closer to her. Then he saw Hollis Maynell. She was standing almost directly behind the young woman. She was a woman well past 40. Her graying hair was tucked under a worn hat. She was more than plump, and her thick ankled feet were thrust into low-heeled shoes. But she wore a red rose in the rumpled lapel of her brown coat. Blandford glanced at the young woman in the green suit, who was walking away quickly. His disappointment was keen, yet deep were his feelings for the woman whose spirit had truly championed and uplifted his own. And there she stood. Her pale, plump face was gentle and sensible. He could see her now. Her gray eyes had a warm, kindly twinkle. Lieutenant Blandford did not hesitate. His fingers gripped the small, worn, blue leather copy of human bandage, which was to identify him to her. This would not be love, but it would be something precious, something perhaps even rarer than love, a friendship for which he had been and must ever be grateful. He squared his broad shoulders, saluted, and held the book out toward the woman. While he spoke, he felt some disappointment. I'm Lieutenant John Blandford, and you are Miss Maynell. I'm so glad you could meet me. May, may I take you to dinner? The woman's face broadened into a pleasant smile. I don't know what this is all about, son, she answered. The young lady in the green suit, the one who just went by, begged me to wear this rose on my coat, and she said that if you asked me to go out with you, I should tell you that she is waiting for you in that big restaurant across the street. She said it was some kind of a test. I've got a boy in the army myself, so I didn't mind obliging. Appointment with Love by S.I. Kishor.